that it's okay if it just flails around. Hey guys, it's Nav. Today I'm going to show you how to wear a sari. And the basic construction of a sari is that you want to tuck it in into something when you put it on, because it's basically a big strip of fabric. So it's basically a big strip of fabric that you just wrap around yourself several times. And so in order to make sure that this big piece of fabric stays on, you want to have some folds into. In this case, you can wear a fall, which is this. And it's essentially just a regular skirt. It looks like a maxi skirt. You basically don't need to spend more than $10 on a fall. Saris tend to fall the same way in that their direction of the sari is that you put a bunch of it together, you put it in your skirt, and then you flip it around once around you, and then you put it over your left shoulder. That's basically how a lot of saris are worn. So today I'm going to show you how to wear a sari properly. The easiest way to put together the palla, or the part that goes over your shoulder, is to take the two ends of the sari, the shorter side, and you fold them together, and then you take this edge and you bring it in from the middle, and then you have these two sides look like this, and then you take the middle end of one of the folded parts and you bring it in again, and you do it for the other side as well. So you do it like this. I'll show you close up. So essentially you have all these different folds on the inside, and now you can put a safety pin on it. So that's what we're going to do now. The thing about folding your palla this way is that it will look good no matter where you are. So whether it's moving around or if it's accidentally gone somewhere awry, because that happens when you're dancing, it will still look good regardless. What you want to try and do is have the border of your sari be on the outside. So that's the part that a lot of people are going to see and what you want to showcase. Then you take the rest of the folds and you just go down the line, the area of the sari, and then you figure out how long you want the sari. So for me, I like having the sari palla go at least to where my thigh is, because in that way it holds down and it weighs down. Otherwise, if it's too high and I'm like moving around, it might go forward or it might go back, or it might have a mind of its own. But if you put it a little bit past your butt and where your thigh is, then it won't move as much. And now the palla's done. Yay. Step one is where the border tends to end, and then it's just regular fabric after. And the reason why they do this is because this part right here is not seen by anyone. It's just tucked in. So this is the part that you want to start seeing. So now you look for the other side of the sari, which is the end part, the part that the average person will not see. And then you bring it around and you bring it to the front and try to make it as vertical as possible, and then fold it in to where you want. So I tend to fold it across my belly, and then fold everything in that goes against the fall that you have wearing. So now that it's all folded, now you make your however many folds you want to put, or your lugs, pleats, whatever you want to call them. And the way you do it is that you take the width between your thumb and your index finger, or your thumb and your middle finger, whichever one you're more comfortable with. And so you start your thumb from your stomach and you go out, and then that's one fold, right? And then you go back around and that's another fold. And you just keep doing this until you get the amount of folds that you want in your sari. The more folds you do, the more So the more folds you do, the puffier it is, depending on the sari. So some saris have a lot of fabric, or they have a lot of embroidery, and then it ends up being a bit difficult for people to fold it so many times because it gets too puffy. If you have a silk, like an old school silk sari that's very thick, that's how it used to be, then make the folds, safety pin them, and then iron them down. So that way you have all the pleats are completely ironed down, they're straight, and then you don't have to worry about it looking very bulky. So anyways, you keep doing your pleats and just keep going until you hit that mark of where the border starts. So then it's easier to take away fabric than it is to add more pleats once you've already created them. Is you want to make sure that you have your last pleat before you start wrapping it around yourself one last time is actually going away from your stomach. So you don't want the last pleat to be close to you, because then it's just going to tug and it will fall out anyways, and it will be uncomfortable over the course of the night. So what you want to do is just leave it so it goes out. So that way. You can safety pin it, and then all you do is tuck it in to the fall that I showed you in the beginning. It will look best to have them at the front in the middle. So now you have this extra piece of fabric and you don't know what to do with it. And what you do is you start folding it in to the fall until you get to the front again. So you keep going around, keep going around. So now it's at the front. But the thing is that it looks funky because that's not actually how the sari is supposed to look. It's supposed to be in front of you. So what you do is you take your palla, or the part that folds that goes over your shoulder, take it off your shoulder and you just move it back around to the front again. So that way you are actually putting your sari at the front. And so now what has happened is that I actually need to add an extra pleat. If that ever happens to you, you just pull the palla back to where I liked it originally, the palla, the extra part, and you just fold it in, and then just take it all out. So now you have this extra piece here, and then just keep folding it back. So you fold it in, fold it in, fold it in. And then you bring it back to the front, and now you have, this is actually enough for another pleat. So what I'm going to do is take out all my pleats and then just add that pleat to the mix. And then fold it in. So now it's like nothing even happened. So now, what you want to do is this part that's actually folded into the fall, you only needed that for structure, but now what it's actually supposed to look like is that you want to see that border. So now you have this extra border behind you, so it gives you some definition. And then you just bring that border up and you open up your palla, and so now you have your desired look. And now I like to unpin this because I don't like the look of having the palla with a pin in it, but it's completely up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. I've been wearing saris for a few years now, so I'm okay with it being open. So now this is where you get to play around. So if you want to pin so then nothing actually moves, you can pin it up here. So that way when you move around, it won't fall forward, it won't like move around a lot. You can also pin it here if you're not comfortable showing your belly very much. You can also leave this and pin this here. Or if you're not really into showing your belly, or maybe like, you know, you're just not comfortable with that, you can also pin it over here, however the desire is. And you also don't even need to keep the palla closed, you can actually just open it. So if you're very comfortable with wearing a sari, and this is highly suggested for people who are comfortable with wearing saris, is that you leave the palla open because you understand what you need to do when you're walking around. But if you're not comfortable, or if this is the first few times you're wearing a sari, I would highly suggest to leave it up and have it pinned up. What I also like to do is I like to make sure that the borders are right beside each other. So I like to do this because that way there's a lot of really nice embroidery on your sari and you want to show it off. And then this is your sari. Ta-da! Okay, let me know what you think. If you actually use this technique and have pictures of it, feel free to tag me in the photo on Instagram with hashtag #SimplifiedWithNav. I would love to see how this works out for all of you. Have fun!